Okay. That was all right, huh? All right. So here's a short poem from Hafiz called The Suburbs. Complaint is only possible while living in the suburbs of God. So today we're wrapping up this is the 12th week that we've been talking about relationships, and of course we've been referring to the 12 instructions that we use in our marriage ceremony, and of course they actually are all based on the 12 traditions in the recovery programs. And this particular one, the last one, is the one that kind of wraps around all of them, and it has to do with principles. And of course, what it says is anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. And what we say in the wedding ceremony is that we focus on the principle, and the power of personality fades away. And so this the thing about the personality part of it is that they're all just temporary attributes. Some of them more temporary than others. Those things that we observe about other people, we call them their personality. First, the thing we should know about this is that we're not seeing them correctly. We think we've got a bead on it. We think that as we observe the people in our lives, we know what their personality is. But what we know is how their current behavior is fitting into our own prejudices, and then we kind of, form it all up in our mind, and that's the kind of person they are. That's their personality, and many times we misinterpret. Yeah, pretty much all the time. Pretty much all the time, we're misinterpreting what they say and what they do, and we misinterpret it according to our own set ideas that we've formulated, and of course we formulate them out of past experiences, which of course were also in error because we were seeing them through that same lens. So, there's nothing wrong with having a nice personality. I mean, I remember I had a teacher once who said that the quality of niceness cannot be overvalued. And he was talking about hiring people for your organization. The quality of niceness. And so this is, of course, when somebody called me on a reference last week, and it came out of my mouth so smoothly, so easily when they asked me about the person, how would I describe them? And I said, he's just really a nice guy. Just really a nice guy. And we all know lots of nice people. It's odd, though, how sometimes we think they're like really nice, and then they do something, and then we think they're not so nice. They do something irritating, they do something that we find threatening in some way, something we disagree with, and for a moment it's so easy to forget all of the reasons like we thought that they were nice to begin with. And then there's some that we never think are nice. So here's what's going on. We are going through life establishing relationships. Now, life is all about relationship. But there really is only one relationship, and that is our relationship with life itself. And every living thing is an aspect of that life. And that one relationship is a relationship of receiving and giving. It's a relationship where we receive love and we give love. But we have put our own thing over the top of that, and we go around establishing special relationships with the different pieces of life that we observe in the world. So we have certain people in our life that we think of as being closer to us than others. And we have other people we think are farther away. And then we have other people who we've never met that we may have some affinity to because we've heard or we've read or whatever. They're kind of like us, and so we feel kind of close to them. They're like our little cousins over there. And then there's people who we've never met that are far away that have these very strange beliefs, we think, that we think of them as even as extreme as being our enemies. This is all affectation. This is all us making these decisions, these judgments, based on, first of all, limited information that is designed to put us into camps. And we're complicit in the design. That's the other thing that's important. We're going along with this program. So we establish relationships with people because we believe that we need protection, we need, we think we need companionship. We want, we want to have people in our lives who we think have our back, so to speak, and because it's a dangerous world, and so we gather them together. And this is an old thing. This is what has occurred is that the tribal mentality has, is still very present in us. And so we have when we think about it, when we break it down, it's like the family. That's like our core group of in this relationship thing, the family. And so no matter what, that's your family. You got to take care of your family. Those are the most special people, and those are the ones that you're closest to. And then, as you go out a little bit farther, you have a group that's a little bit bigger than that. That those, they think like you. They could just be your neighbors, right? Just your close neighbors, and some of them you don't get along with very well. The one over there, the one over here, those fine, but they're in your neighborhood, and so if you're going to protect territory, your neighborhood would be the territory that you'd want to protect. And you think about your town and you identify with your community. Now, some of us identify with the community and say, man, there's nothing happening there. But you still feel, if someone from outside the community would say something bad, you probably would want to defend the community. So this thing just, and pretty soon, and then there's, of course, nationalism, where we were taught to think that the country, our country, the greatest country, and we're part of this, and everybody, and we got to do things that are in our national interests, and the people outside of the country, we have various things that we think about them and say about them. The majority of it not good. And we feel the farther away people get from us, the more alienated we feel from them. Geographically speaking, even in the country, those people down south, I don't know about those people down south. Are those crazy people out on the West Coast? I don't know. I don't understand that. La La Land, right? So we figure out ways to see other people as different from ourselves. And what we don't realize most of the time is we're even doing it to the people who we think are closest to us. We do it more to those we think are farther away. And it's really easy when they've got some habits or customs or whatever that we don't quite understand. And maybe we can't, a different language or even an accent, a way, they seem to have the same language as us, but we can't understand what they're saying. And so we find all of these reasons to say they're different. And the more different we find them, the more threatening they become to us. And so it's really easy for us to be manipulated into thinking that conflict and even war is justified because those people aren't like us. Not only aren't they like us, but it's really a lot more convenient if we can be convinced that it's not that they're just not like us, but that they're against us. And something happened, I think started happening 10, 15 years ago, and it was this concept that there's a bunch of people out there who hate freedom. They hate freedom. And they have a particular religion that seems to be kind of strange. But they hate freedom. And of course that translates as if they hate freedom, they're obviously they're a threat to us. They want to take ours. There is no group of people that hates freedom, except for perhaps those who are in authority, which they would rather have more freedom and you have less. The same people who coined the phrase that these people hate freedom. Those who want to manipulate you, they may hate freedom because if too much freedom, you may start thinking too much for yourself and you're harder to get to do what they may want you to do. But even those folks, the only reason that they do it, it's not because they're evil, by the way. It appears that they're evil, but they're not. The reason they do it, they're afraid they're going to lose position, power, privilege. So, it's all about fear. So all of these reasons that we separate ourselves from each other are based in fear that somehow they're a threat to us. And the threat may show itself in many different ways. So it's a dangerous world. And so what we do is we form alliances. We form alliances. We form alliances in our families, even against other members of our families. But the strange thing about these alliances are that they are shifting. And that they are alliances of convenience. Alliances of circumstance. And so we will have someone in our family or just a close friend or whatever who we have a contract with them. It's an unwritten contract. Most of the time it's an unspoken contract. We haven't told them that we have a contract with them. They haven't told us they have one with us, but it's kind of understood. And we have this contract that we're going to act a certain way, and they're going to act a certain way, and that's our deal. I'm going to be this way to you, you be that way to me, and we're going to be okay. The problem is we keep changing the rules in our minds. First of all, this is one of the problems, that we keep changing the rules about what the agreement is. And since we're really not talking about what the agreement is, and we're just assuming this is the agreement, this is how a person is supposed to act in this particular kind of relationship, when they go outside of it, then we get mad at them. Most of the time we don't say anything. Sometimes we do. Some of us it's really easy to just speak right up and tell somebody when they're going outside the contract. But A lot of times we don't say anything. We just keep going on. But when the conflict within us concerning this breach of contract gets great enough, we go to someone else who we have a contract with. And we begin to talk to them about the shortcomings of the other person who we had the contract with. So now what we've done is we've formed kind of an alliance with this other person against the first person that we've had. Oh, maybe we say stuff like, I'm just, I just need somebody to talk to about this and stuff. But what's really going on is the person isn't acting the way we think they should act. And so I don't think they should act that way, so I want to talk to you about it, because what do I want? I want you to agree. I want you to tell me the same. I want you to say, oh yeah, I can't believe they're doing that. I don't know what's the matter with them. Oh, but you know what? Let me think about it. Let me analyze it for a minute. I can think of maybe there's these, let me list the psychological reasons why this person might be acting this way. This is going on, that's going on. And so I think what I'm doing when I'm actually trying to explain the person's behavior is I'm being helpful. See, I'm just saying, well, this is going on, that's going on. But really, I'm still just participating in the gossip. But I'm trying to do it from like a higher frame of mind. So then, depending on the behavior and the things that are going on, I can go in my mind, I can get so alienated that I totally break the contract. That's it. I'm finished with them. And then I go and I establish with someone else. I move from one to another. And so in our lives, what we end up with is all these relationships where as long as the person is doing what we think that they ought to do, we give them our approval. But when they don't, we give them our judgment. And it could be that we have someone we're in relationship with, if somebody else comes to us and tells us something that they're doing, and then we get on their side, right? And so we're alienated from our brother, our sister, because somebody else told us a story about something. And this is one thing that you can always be sure of. When you hear these stories, they're never true. And what I mean, I'm not saying that they're not factual as far as that they're not factual, that some events occurred. Some events occurred. When I say they're not true, I mean they're always misinterpreted. They're always misinterpreted to the viewpoint of the person who's telling the story, which we've already established that viewpoint is erroneous. And the reason the viewpoint is erroneous is because it is self-centered. It is self-absorbed. Many times it is self-aggrandizement. It is looking at the behavior of others and trying to stack it up against our own, so that we can say things to ourselves, although we've learned that whenever we say, I would never do that we're on shaky ground, but the sentiment is the same. Oh, and then we can get upset when we see things going on and we believe that other people are being harmed here. And what I say to that usually is other people are cooperating with the harm that seems to be coming to them. Now, yes, sometimes people do cruel things and it's not okay. Sometimes people who are just actually minding their own business get hurt, and that's not okay. And I'm not suggesting that we just act like it is, because it's not okay. Ultimately, it really didn't mean anything, because in spirit, nothing bad happened, just in this world that we've made. But most of the things that we see going on in the world, everybody is cooperating, even at a subconscious level, with the conflict. Everybody is up in the middle of it. And everybody has a choice as to what they live with. And everybody has the ability to decide whether or not they're going to go along with a particular program. Now, so since that's the case, so here's the first thing that could happen. If somebody is acting in a way that's offensive, if somebody's speaking to you in a way that is hurtful, if somebody's being neglectful, there are some ways that we can deal with it directly. I mean, now this is better than not dealing with it at all, but it's not the best solution. We deal with it directly by talking it out. I always suggest that we have a confidant. And remember that our confidant is not just somebody that we gossip to. But then to actually address the issue with the person, that's a solution to it. But really, the best solution to it is to see that this condition that's occurring is just an illusion. That there really is no conflict, that there really is, because there's only two things that can be going on. Either I'm giving love or I'm asking for it. So if the behavior looks like it is offensive, that just means that the person is asking for love. Now, the reason that I got upset, of course, about the offensive behavior is because I also am asking for love. Otherwise, I would have just extended love immediately as soon as I saw it, and I wouldn't have got upset. In other words, I would have been Christ-like, and I would have just extended forgiveness into the situation. I wouldn't have had to make a comment. I wouldn't have had to call anybody. It would have just been fine. It would have been in my mind. It would have been like,